I'm Dana Bristol-Smith with Leap to Success, and I'd like to welcome you to Self-Care in Stressful Times. And I was thinking earlier that maybe we should just be calling this self-care during a pandemic, because that's what we're experiencing. This is episode 18, and I'm really glad that you're here with us. You are investing 30 minutes to give yourself some needed respite and some needed self-care. So again, so glad that you're here. I'm going to take a moment, just tell you about Leap to Success, and then we're going to jump right in. Leap to Success is a women's empowerment organization, and we're based in Carlsbad, California. Our mission is to educate and empower women who are overcoming domestic violence, homelessness, and other major life challenges. We got started in 2008, and today here we're in 2020, and we've had thousands of women go through our programs. All of our programs now are online, and we started this program, the self-care series, to help you deal with the stress and the uncertainty and the anxiety that you might be feeling, and that those you care for, those you work with, friends and family. So we are glad that you're with us. In just a moment, we're going to get started with a meditative practice. But first, I want to introduce Alyssa, who's providing technical support, and she'll have a brief instruction for you. So here's Alyssa.
Hi, everyone. I'm super happy that you were able to join us for Self-Care in Stressful Times, episode 18. This is episode 18, so we have all of our other episodes available for you to watch on replay via our website, where we've compiled a self-care library, as well as a playlist that we have on our Leap to Success YouTube channel. And we will be having some interactive portions of today's webinar. So if you would like to participate with the other attendees, make sure before you send a message in the chat that you have it set to all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, Dana, Kelly, and I will be the only ones to see your response, which is totally fine if that's what you prefer. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Alyssa. And each week we start with a meditative practice, and we also give you a practical tool or tips to help navigate this time of uncertainty. We'll be doing that today and actually giving it to you as a link of something that you can download and use with yourself, with colleagues, and with those you serve, that I think is going to be really important and really useful to you. But now we're going to start with our mindfulness practice. So I'm going to introduce Kelley Grimes, who will lead us through a mindfulness practice. So here's Kelley.
Thank you so much, Dana, and welcome everyone. I'm so happy that you have prioritized this time to come home to yourself. I'm going to offer you a mindfulness practice today to ground and reconnect to your body, because your body has so much wisdom to teach you, and it's such a powerful way for us to understand how stress impacts us and how our emotions impact us. So I'm going to invite you now to settle in. If you're in a safe place, allow your eyes to close. And take 3 breaths in and out, really noticing with this beautiful curiosity and non-judgment, just noticing how it feels to fill up your lungs and how it feels to exhale. Just give yourself a moment to really breathe and settle in. Notice how it feels to have your feet on the ground. Notice how it feels to be sitting where you are. And notice if there's any place that you're holding any tension or tightness. And if you can, give your body permission just to relax a bit. This is a moment just for you. Notice if there's any place in your body at this moment that you have any pain or discomfort. And if you can, breathe a little bit of love, a little extra love to that place. Now I want to invite you to think about taking care of yourself. Think about a time that you really wanted to do something kind for yourself, but you felt guilty. Now that you have that experience, I want you to check in with your body. And I want you to notice, what sensations do you have in your body when you feel guilty? Do you feel a sense of contraction in some places? Perhaps you feel your heart beating faster. What is the experience that you have when you feel guilty? Have you noticed other times when you've had a few minutes to do something for yourself and that feeling came up and stopped you? When we notice how emotions and stress impact our bodies, we can make different choices. So with whatever's coming up for you in this moment, I invite you to breathe some love and compassion to those sensations. If you found your stomach tightening a little bit, just remind yourself that it's okay, that whatever you're feeling in this moment is okay, and that you are here for yourself. Instead of judging how we feel, we have an opportunity to come to ourselves with compassion and understanding so that we don't create more resistance around that experience for ourselves, more pain or suffering. And instead, we use it as an opportunity to know ourselves. Like, oh, that's how this self-care guilt shows up for me. I see. Now I'm going to invite you to breathe in. As you breathe in, give yourself permission to have some spaciousness around that feeling. And as you breathe out, if you're ready, let go of that guilt through your out breath. So we're going to breathe in a sense of spaciousness and out that experience of feeling guilty for taking care of ourselves. In a sense of spaciousness and expansion and possibility. And out that guilt that creates an obstacle for us to simply take care of ourselves. I'm going to invite us for 2 more breaths like that, really breathing in a sense of possibility, of compassion and kindness for ourselves. And as we exhale out, just release that guilt. It doesn't serve us. And then I'm going to invite you to open your eyes back, come back and be present. And I want to talk a little bit about what happens with guilt. Now, guilt is a normal experience, right? We all feel guilty. And from time to time, and usually what it's doing is the guilt is directing us to something that we need to make right. Perhaps we did something or we said something that we know, wasn't in our highest good or wasn't as skillful as we could. And so we might feel guilty about that. And it can be a powerful way of having accountability with ourselves and other things. But when it comes to self-care, it actually is pointing us to something different. It's pointing us to a belief that we have that we are not as important as other people. We usually don't have guilt taking care of other people. We actually might feel a sense of purpose and a sense of positive meaning in our lives to be someone of service. But when we have guilt about taking care of ourselves, what we're actually telling ourselves is that we are not as important as others, and it feeds those expectations we talked about last episode, about these totally unrealistic expectations of being on and present for everyone all the time. So when we have a few minutes to go take a walk, do a mindfulness practice, maybe just take a break and do nothing, we can have guilt that comes up because that guilt's telling us we actually don't think that we're worthy of taking that time. And yet what we've been talking about in episode after episode is if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot give in any kind of sustainable or really authentic way. What I found in my own practice of self-nurturing and in working with many, many people is that the more that we commit to caring for ourselves and nurturing ourselves, the more we begin to value ourselves and love ourselves, the more we're connected to our worth. The more that we're connected to our worth, the more we value ourselves, the more we prioritize caring for ourselves. And it's a beautiful self-sustaining cycle. When we start to notice that guilt isn't what we want to guide our choices, when we start to realize what the Buddha shared, which is you yourself, more than anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. When we realize that we can be our own best friend and that we must fill up so that we're not giving from the last drops of our cup, when we really see that, we can actually put aside the guilt about caring for ourselves. And yet sometimes that's difficult to do. And in that being a challenge, we have to find more and more tools that help reinforce our value and worth. And so as we transform that, we can take the lessons that we've learned throughout these many episodes and put them into practice. You can choose to let go of the guilt and start to transform how you value yourself. And to me, that is all about empowerment. If I can do that, then I can truly live really from a place of authentic love, both for myself and for the world, because I know that I have to be filled up in order to be of service. We have an absolutely beautiful tool that we're going to share with you next that I think could be the next powerful transformative tool so that you can really own your own value and worth, and that we can continue to build all our resilience in these times and continue to grow. So I want to invite Dana to share with you about this amazing tool.
Thank you, Kelley. That was a beautiful practice to walk through. I think I feel a lot calmer now than a few minutes ago. And I hope that you all do as well. We have a tool that some of you might have heard of before. It's called the Personal Bill of Rights. And it's a tool that we've used since the very beginning, since 2008 in our leadership program, to really remind women of their own self-worth and to remind all of us that we are the person who makes the choices in our lives, and that in fact it is up to us to be that person who makes the choices. It's really not up to anyone else. And this is a tool that helps us claim our rights to ourselves and then live them in our relationships and live them in our lives. This tool, as I mentioned, it's called the Personal Bill of Rights. And it was first developed by Edmund J. Bourne, and he published it in the Anxiety and Phobia Workbook. It has been used in different recovery programs, recovery communities, and it's just very, very powerful. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask Alyssa to put it up on the screen so that we can all see it. And then Kelley and I are going to take turns reading it out loud. I want you to hear these words. And if you are in a place where you can read something out loud, where you're not impinging on others' rights, we'll invite you to do that as well. And then I'll also invite you to have a paper and pencil handy. And as you hear one of these rights that really stands out for you, see if you can capture it, because we're going to take you through an exercise directly afterwards. So let's take a look at these rights right now. And I'm going to make my screen larger so I can see them. Thank you, Alyssa, for having them up here for us. And I'm going to start with number 1. I have the right to make my own choices.
2, I have the right to ask for what I want.
3, I have the right to say no to requests or demands I can't meet.
4, I have the right to express all of my feelings.
5, I have the right to change my mind.
6, I have the right to make mistakes and not be perfect.
7, I have the right to follow my own values and standards.
8, I have the right to determine and honor my own priorities.
9, I have the right to not be responsible for others' feelings or actions.
10, I have the right to expect honesty from others.
11, I have the right to be angry at someone I love.
12, I have the right to be uniquely myself.
13, I have the right to not explain or give reasons for my behavior.
14, I have the right to say, I don't know.
15, I have the right to make decisions based on my feelings.
16, I have the right to my own needs for personal space and time.
17, I have the right to be in a safe, non-abusive environment.
18, I have the right to change and grow.
19, I have the right to have my needs and wants respected by others.
20, I have the right to be treated with dignity and respect.
21, I have the right to be happy. And these rights allow me to take charge of my own life. Now, I'm going to ask Alyssa to make the screen a little bit larger here, because what I'd like to ask you to do is, as you glance at these rights, take a look at them again, and hopefully you can see them. Thank you, Alyssa. Write down which right really stood out to you. What is the right that you really need to claim for yourself right now? I know for me, the right about having personal space and time is really important and really difficult right now. So for me, that's the one. But which stands out for you right now? And I'll also invite you to go ahead and put it in the chat if you would like us to share it out loud without your name. But I'd love to say some of these out loud that really stand out for you right now. Yeah, there are 21 of these rights. Okay, so we're getting some in the chat. Thank you so much. And someone is sharing, I have the right to say, I don't know. Yeah, it's really liberating to know that we have that right. Someone else has shared, I have the right to determine and honor my own priorities. And someone else has shared, I have the right to be uniquely myself with many exclamation points after it. Got it. Definitely got it. Someone else has shared, let's see, number 8, which is I have the right to determine and honor my own priorities. Someone else, I have the right to be happy. And I love that that right is there because these rights are really serious. But to really know that we do have the right to be happy. We do have the right to experience joy, even in such a difficult time. We all have that right to do it, and it's really imperative right now. So I hope that you are finding ways to experience happiness, experience joy, as Kelley said, so that we can refill our cup, so that we can be there for others. Okay, I see a few others that have come up now. I have the right to change my mind. I have the right to expect honesty from others. I have the right for my needs and wants to be respected by others. I have the right to not explain or give reasons for my behavior. And someone else, I have the right to have my needs and wants respected by others. Yeah, those are really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing them. Someone else is saying, I have the right to change and grow. I saw that I have the right to make mistakes and not have to be perfect. All of these are so incredibly important. Someone else, I have the right to change and grow. There's a lot of energy here, so thank you so much for sharing these. I've got a couple more questions for you, and I'll ask that you go ahead and write these down. We probably won't have time for you to go through this full exercise, but I want you to write these down, and then after this, we'll go ahead and put the link in the chat area so you can download the personal rights and also the worksheet that these questions are on. So here's the questions. You answered the first one. What personal right is most important to you now? Now, question number 2, why is this right important to you? So go ahead and write that down. Why is this right important to you? Question number 3, reflect on why in the past you did not exercise this right. So reflect on why in the past you did not exercise this right. What stopped you? What stopped you? And I know with our topic today of letting go of self-care guilt, it could be guilt that stops us, that someone else's view, someone else's time, someone else's care is more important than caring for ourselves. So that could come up, I'm sure. And then the last question is, how will you fully embrace this right now? How will you fully embrace this personal right now? And that's really asking, what action step will you take? What action step will you take that really allows you to claim your own worth, that allows you to claim your own value, and allows you to choose how you want to be experiencing life right now, how you want to be in relationship with others right now, and how you want and need to be caring for yourself right now. I'll give you a moment to just digest those questions before we wrap up. And Alyssa, if you haven't yet, go ahead and put the link in the chat for folks to download those rights. Thank you. So as you use the Personal Bill of Rights, really allow them to be the permission that you give yourself to care for yourself and to nurture yourself. Hopefully you're going to be able to let go of self-care guilt as you realize these personal rights. And as you set an example for others in your life about how that they can care for themselves as well. We've heard from so many women over the years who've gone through our leadership program that they have taught how they care for themselves to their children. They've taught things like the need for personal space and time. By demonstrating it for themselves, they demonstrate that for their children. And kids catch on really quick to the examples that we set for them. So we all have that ability to be a beautiful example. What I'll ask is that you interact with us on our Leap to Success Facebook page, that you be part of this discussion, you be part of this community that believes that each of us have these personal rights to take care of ourselves, to honor ourselves, to be in, there's a term, right relationship with ourselves. So join us on our Facebook page. We will post these questions. You've got the link to, and I hope that you will download these personal rights and the worksheet, and feel free to go back to them, use them over and over, and use them when that guilt does come up. And I think that you'll feel strengthened. I think that you will feel more steady by looking at them. And I want to reshare the quote that Kelley shared earlier from the Buddha, because I think that it's just so relevant for this conversation right now. The Buddha said that you yourself, more than anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. So with that, I'm going to ask you to do something that might feel a little silly, but I'm going to do it too. And I'm going to ask yourself, I'm going to ask you to give yourself a big hug. Give yourself a hug. Tell yourself that you love yourself and that you deserve your own love and your own affection. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being someone who cares for others. And thank you for being a beautiful example to so many people in your life of the power of caring. So I hope that you'll join us again next week for self-care in stressful times. Be well, my friends. Bye-bye.